Boat 628, A Tony Neal Tale, Part 32 of 42, 1:48 p.m. Jean, thrown rescue rope in hand, said a quick prayer for Johnny as she held on with all her might and was slowly reeled in upstream by NOC raft guides who'd been positioned on the South Carolina side riverbank to fish guests out of the Russian Chattooga if need be. Her rescuers behind her, Jean was stretched out with feet downstream as the unseen by her NOC rescuer pulled on the rope bit by bit until her butt bumped bottom and a voice hollered, "Can you stand or would you prefer to crawl to shore? Do you need a hand?" All important questions that Jean contemplated for 2 eye blinks as the taut rope kept her from tumbling downstream. Jean spent her 8 seconds evaluating her situation and determining if standing was her better option or if crawling from the river on all fours would likely prove more successful. The water, though still fast, was slower where she'd been pulled to the edge of the river and she thought she might be able to stand, but figured crawling a few feet closer to the riverbank was likely her best bet. I think I'll crawl just a bit, then try to stand," she replied, twisting her neck to the right in order to catch a glimpse of who'd reeled her in, but failing to turn her head sufficiently to view her savior. "Okay, sounds like a plan. Take your time and hang on to that rope. If you keep a good grip on the rope, we can get you out quick by pulling you to shore, but it's rocky and you'll likely get scraped up, so I'd rather you walk in if you can. Get it?" "Yeah," Jean said, accenting her statement with a nod. "Pretty sure I got it and pretty sure I can make it. Just stay with the rope, okay? I promise not to let go. Take your time." All right, here goes nothing," Jean said as she slowly crawled along the rocky riverbed until she was in shallow enough water that the river's pull seemed manageable. Crawling sufficiently toward shore that she experienced a noticeable reduction in the press of the river's flow against her, Jean inhaled, turned upstream, put her left leg out, and rose from the fast but not furious water, her ascension to upright tipsy but in control. Looking good, the now in view diminutive young woman who held the rope said to her. "Take your time and make your way out. I'll keep the rope slack enough for you to maneuver, but tight enough that I'll be able to keep you from being swept downstream if you run into trouble. Sound good?" "Yeah, sounds good," Jean said, inching her way upstream and toward the riverbank until she reached a rock ledge where the woman stood. Both Jean and the gal from the NOC exhaled, shook their heads, and smiled, Jean adding thanks as she accepted a hand from her rescuer and stepped up onto the rock. "All in a day's adventure. You want to sit here a minute?" Yeah, that sounds good," she said, panting and nodding. "Thanks. Leah, and you're welcome? Jean Neal, pleasure to meet you, despite the circumstances," she said with a laugh.